Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Stormworks, and we're back with the sub, and I'm going to show you guys something funny real quick, and I think you guys will enjoy it. But yeah, we are back with the sub. I told you guys it wasn't going anywhere. I don't know how consistent the uploads are going to be, but yeah, we're going to work on it a little bit today. So I'm kind of excited to show you guys a little bit of work that I did off camera in between the episodes. I know it's been a while. Last episode, we kind of started doing some of the interior work for the command and control. And yeah, mostly all I did was work on some Lewis screens and some missile stuff. And then I added that little submarine down on the bottom. And I'm going to show you guys that in just a second, but I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. It's a pretty silly, goofy build, but pretty excited. I don't have the actual footage of me building the little subplane thing, but I might put it on the workshop. I don't know. That's really dependent on you guys. If you want me to, I can. It might be a little delayed just because I'm really bad at putting things on the workshop. But anyways, let's get down there and I want to show you what is going on. So essentially down here, we have a little bay, and in this bay, we've got a little plane. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So open cockpit, you do need a diving suit, but if you do have a diving suit, it works perfectly fine. And it also does this, which is pretty cool. So it's a plane and a sub, and it's not really fast. I'm going to be honest, it's pretty slow. It's actually slower than the submarine is if the submarine is underwater, but it is very cool, and it's very hard to shoot down, especially if you are over the water, because it can kind of just nosedive straight into the water and avoid any missiles, which is pretty convenient. And if, you know, vice versa with the whole torpedo thing. So if a torpedo is tracking it, it can just go into the air. Really simple, pretty easy to control. It switches modes automatically, and yeah, to dock it up, we're just going to go drive right behind the submarine, and it's actually a lot easier, just like a normal carrier, when the submarine is moving. But we're just going to line up the sliding rail that you see on the top of the plane there to the bottom of the submarine, and it'll lock into place. We'll turn that key, it'll fold up, and we'll hop out of it. So this system is more or less set up. I'm only going to have just this one plane. I'm not going to get too complicated with it. There's not going to be like an easy way to reload it or anything. But the submarine will have a plane, and this is probably going to be the substitute for not having torpedoes. I think I'm not going to do torpedoes. I know that's probably going to upset some of you, but I just, you know, this submarine is going to go like close to 200 knots, and that basically means you're going to have to put the brakes on in order to use a torpedo. And I don't really want that to be a thing, so I'm not going to do that. And you guys can see I'm kind of failing here because the release is on a toggle button, so I need to fix that for the hard point. But hopefully we'll lock into place there, and yep, just turn this key. It's going to bring us up, it's going to close the doors, and we are good to go back into the submarine. So as a testament for the speed, real quick, I just wanted to get this thing running a little bit under the water for you guys. So as you can see there, we are going 123 knots under the water right now. Not full speed, but definitely you guys can see we are moving pretty quick. And I'm just gonna stick the nose straight up, and you guys can see we can easily clear like bridges and islands with the submarine, which is awesome. I do want to try to jump a bridge in the submarine. I've done it with a tsunami, which is kind of cheating, but I do want to just try to jump a bridge normally, and I'll try to get that on film if I do it. But anyways, enough of that. We are gonna go get into the building. And the game plan for today is kind of all over the place. Really, I just want to do a little bit of just general interior work. I want to clean up this room a little bit specifically. A lot of floating controls and stuff, as you can see. And I do want to get a little bit of HVAC going. And then we're also going to do kind of the meeting room, which is going to be this space right here. So we already have all of our oxygen and fresh air and all of that in this room. If you guys haven't seen that, go check out the last episode. There's going to be plenty of realistic HVAC on the submarine. We, in the simplest way I can describe it, basically, we do have a system that will suck out any carbon dioxide after fires are extinguished and then replace it with new fresh air. So hopefully the crew doesn't suffocate if there is a fire. Anyways, I'm not going to explain how all that works. We are going to do an air conditioning real quick because I love unnecessary HVAC. And if you guys haven't seen me do this before, really simple. I don't use the heat exchange or the cryo coolers. They actually are, in my mind, not great. But the nice thing about air conditioning, especially on a ship, well, only on a ship, is the water, when you need air conditioning, is always going to be cooler than the air. This is a little different because we're on a submarine, so the air is not really, inside is not really being affected by ambient temperatures. Anyways, the seawater is usually going to be colder, meaning you can easily just suck the hot air out of the air and stick it into the seawater and cool the room that way. So you don't really need to get into cryo coolers. You're not going to get into, like sub-freezing temperatures. You're not going to get into like freezers, refrigerator temps, unless you really, really know kind of how to make it a lot more efficient. But in my mind, the heat exchangers, air liquid heat exchangers, are going to be the best way to kind of mass cool spaces with air, especially on a ship. So that's kind of the game plan. We're just going to get an air conditioner in the meeting room, and it will kind of feed this general space as well. And if you do, kind of recall from last episode, or I mean, we're working on it. This vent right there that you see with the piping, those are recirculation vents. So it's kind of just pumping the air and circulating it throughout this floor. So don't really need to focus on adding too large of an air conditioning unit. I guess we will have a way to kind of mix the air around in the space, so it will slowly cool down. The other nice thing is a submarine, so we do have a little bit more insulation than a normal ship. So honestly, the trickier part about all of this is really just the microcontroller, because the temperatures are going to bounce around, especially mine are set up to just maintain a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius in the cabin. And really how you get that to happen is you give it a range. It's not going to actually be able to hit 20 degrees Celsius bang on, especially with a heater. But, if you give it a range, that's kind of the trickier part. So if you are going to do HVAC in your ships and you want it to be kind of set up with thermostats the way that I'm going to do it, just kind of keep that in mind, that the heaters especially are going to be very, very inaccurate as far as trying to approximate exact heats. So just try to give yourself a little bit of a range. It'll make it a lot easier on you. But enough of the air conditioning talk. We all know how plumbing works in Stormworks, at least I hope by now. And also, if you're watching me, you probably know that I like plumbing. So I'm not going to just talk about plumbing for the next 20 minutes. We'll get this done. But really, the point of this room is to be a meeting room, a mission planning room, that kind of thing. So we're going to have a nice big table, and we'll put like a fancy ornate table and a big nice rug and that kind of thing. And then it will be right behind the command and control. So kind of a nice centralized meeting space where people can kind of do their mission briefings and whatnot. Enough of that, though. We are going to get a quick little time lapse in. I don't want to bore you guys with these pumps and my slow building. But anyways, we're going to get this all kind of blocked out a little bit more, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the future plans for the submarine. right. Well, that was a very long singular cut, but I thought there was a lot of good stuff in there, so I wanted to kind of leave a lot of it in. Anyways, we got a good amount done, really. Got the air conditioner in, got the heater in, got the wall to the left cleaned up a little bit, looking nice, ready for some instruments, that kind of good stuff. And then we got a nice little carpet in here and a nice meeting table for the crew to, again, do their mission planning. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish up doing some details in this room. I'm gonna try to add some shelves, some filing cabinets, some TVs, that kind of thing. So anyways, we're mostly done with this room. We'll have to add some lighting and whatnot, but I do like this room. I do think it turned out quite nice. I'm not gonna you guys know I'm not gonna go crazy with the XML. I might come back in here and change the seats around to some nicer looking seats, but other than that, I am more or less pretty happy with how this room looks for now. And I'm honestly pretty happy with how the rest of the ship is turning out so far too. So I'm excited to get a lot of the other parts of the interior done. I know I kind of said I needed a break from the submarine, and that is true. So again, I'm not too sure how consistent the builds are, or the uploads are going to be, but I do plan on finishing this ship. So I do have some this is, some of the footage I had on the back burner. So I figured I would share it with you guys, and, I'm sure the next episode will probably be, the diving ship. That or there is a new game coming out that I would like to play, and I also do have plans to do a satisfactory playthrough too. So I don't know, a lot of stuff going on, but I'm just kind of ranting on about the channel right now. I do, like I said earlier, I do not think we're going to go torpedoes with this. So I know that might upset quite a few people, but this is a ICBM carrying sub, and it also has a fighter jet with it. So I don't know. I don't like this. The torpedoes in this game suck, for lack of a better term, and they're really quite annoying and quite unreliable. So I don't really want to do the submarine thing or torpedo thing. Not really a huge fan of that. Would rather just stick with the ICBMs, and generally I don't really recommend lone gunning with a submarine anyways. So they're more kind of used to get information and send them back to things that have a lot more weapons. But anyways, that's kind of the plan, at least for the weapons. The rest of the space is really just going to be a bunch of military, crew space, mess halls. Same thing I normally do. We're going to try to do the full interior. And so I am excited for that. I do really like doing pretty cramped industrial interiors, and submarines are great for that. The only issue is I don't do a lot of submarines, so not super experienced with it. And I'm not super knowledgeable when it comes to the submarine thing. So I'm going to try to make everything very, compact and cramped and make it feel like you're on a sub, but also at the same time, I'm going to try to make most of it functional, and as you guys know. So I don't want to just throw pipes in hallways unless they're actually used for something. But, I'm stupid, and I'll find enough bad reasons to move pipes or use pipes and move fluids and that kind of stuff around the ship. So I will say using fake pipes as I say that, but, fake conduits, I guess, really, they're fake wiring conduits. And like I said, we're just going to add a little bit more detail in here. It is kind of like an office space, so I do want to have a cabinet or two in here. And, I do want it to kind of seem like there is actual, paperwork being done in here. The other thing that we need to make sure we do is every single room on the submarine needs to get a welder and a fire extinguisher for safety reasons. I'm going to do that in every single room. And then we'll also probably do a medical station in every single room as well. So, and these are just easy things that you can do to kind of make the ship feel a little bit more realistic, and it's a nice excuse to throw more garbage on the walls, which makes it feel more lived in and more cramped. And that's really what you want with a submarine, is you want it to feel very, very cramped, very claustrophobic. We are not doing this for fun. This is a military submarine. So everything kind of needs to have a use. Every space needs to have a use or two, ideally. But yeah, it's just kind of a bunch of silly things like that that'll help kind of fill out the interior. That cabinets, access hatches, electrical panels, that kind of stuff. But anyways, I'm going to quit ranting. We've spawned this in, so let's check it out. Anyways, guys, that is pretty much all I have for you in this one. I wanted to show you guys the lighting in the dark real quick. But if you made it to the end, thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. If you guys like this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.